I don't know, I feel like a lady killer like Chase would know that. But that does... No, 7. Hello, heroes! I am the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Dino SuperCharge episode review. Today we are going to talk about, love. How does someone who is a Power Ranger deal with a relationship? What struggles do they face, huh? Let's find out as we dive into the 4th episode of Dino SuperCharge. That was danger! The Rangers are being all science-y. Kendall and Shelby are working on a static ball? We never actually find out what this thing is. Riley's working on a telescope, and Chase is working on his relationship. He's gathering up his skateboarding trophies, and the other Rangers have seen this before. That means it's the 5th date, the trophies date. Chase has apparently made a habit of showing off his talents and accomplishments on every date, even challenging girls to push-up contests. Until he lost one. He gets love zapped on his way out the door, and you gotta just love that old seeing the skelly electric zapped effect. Meanwhile, a ship made by the Disney Epcot Spaceship Earth Company crashes on Earth, and out hops something that looks like a combination of a fire demon and a candle. Immediately, Snide, Wrench, and Fury are on the scene. He says that he can help get the Energems because he's so tough he rode to Earth in a flaming asteroid. Okay. Meanwhile, at Chase's date, he's skating, and his date is thoroughly bored. Her name is Kaylee, and she tries to tell Chase that she's not having a good time, but he's thoroughly locked into self-absorbed mode. Look at the time, she says, looking at her bracelet. Wow, talk about desperate to escape. Somewhere apparently nearby, Tyler hops into his Jeep and finds a note. It's apparently from the last man to have seen his father alive. But the note is interrupted by an explosion, and Tyler hops out of the Jeep and morphs. Chase also sees the explosion and also morphs. Both of them morphed in broad daylight. Chase was at the skate park in front of at least 10 or so other people. Fury introduces the two to Captain Demon Candle, whose name is actually Singe. Man, that is going to get confusing in writing with Snide. Anyway, Heroes give Singe such a headache. So maybe he's distantly related to Rita? Anyway, his candle blaster, and actually all of his weapons really, are incredibly powerful, blasting through columns and giving the Rangers a really tough time. Singe hits an old lady, and Chase runs over to try and help her. And who should happen to be driving by but Kaylee? She offers to help with the old lady, and clearly becomes taken with the Black Ranger as he leaps over her car back into battle. Unfortunately, that battle doesn't go well. Dino Armor X is ineffective, and even when the other Rangers show up, they still just get pushed around. They're saved by infighting. Singe's hero headache gets too bad for him to continue, and in frustration, Fury attacks him. The Rangers blast them in the distraction, and they retreat. On the ship, Heckle has emerged and wants to know Singe's plan. He had Wrench take a picture of the Black Ranger with Kaylee and says he plans to get to Chase with a Johnny Cash reference through a crazy little thing called love. Heckle is even more cultured than that, dropping a Shakespeare reference with parting is such sweet sorrow. Shelby reads the note that Tyler got, saying it's from a man named Rusty, who Tyler explains was on the expedition where his dad disappeared. Shelby says that he's got to go meet the man, and he leaves, giving her a kiss on the cheek. Meanwhile, Chase is having his 5th date with Kaylee, showing off the trophies, when she dumps him. It turns out that she's met someone else. What makes it worse is that this someone else that Kaylee has met is the Black Ranger. Chase has lost out to himself. She says the Black Ranger is just so real. Girls don't make any sense sometimes. No offense, ladies. Shelby takes a break from building whatever that thing is to drop some reality on Chase. Chase has been so self-absorbed that he doesn't know the first thing about Kaylee. He asks if he was supposed to ask about her. I don't know, I feel like a lady killer like Chase would know that. But it does give him an idea. Shelby tells him not to do anything stupid, like just revealing his identity to her. Tyler goes to meet with Rusty, and as far as I was concerned, this scene was screaming trap. I mean, Tyler did find that note right before Singe showed up. As far as I was concerned, Rusty was Singe. I mean, Singe is even kind of rusty colored, and those other workers were Viveks. Rusty tells Tyler about the day his dad disappeared. While the other workers had gone home for the day, he and Tyler's dad, James, had decided to explore a deeper section of the caves. But then there was a cave-in, and Rusty tripped while trying to run away. James came back to help him and pushed him through the tunnel, getting hit by the rock slide. But he was more trapped on the other side of it than actually hurt, and Rusty said that there were miles of other tunnels in that network, so James could have easily escaped. By the way, I wonder what happened to be giving that cave its unique aqua glow? Maybe it was James's heroic self-sacrifice? Seriously, I think the show just answered a pretty major question. As Tyler stands to leave, Rusty sees his energem and asks to see it. I was screaming at the TV as Tyler took it off. What are you doing? But fortunately, this seems to be just a little misdirection in writing, as Rusty simply calls it a once-in-a-lifetime kind of find and hands it back to him. Though, how did Rusty know that it wasn't just a pretty rock? Kaylee is reading in the park when Chase approaches. Or should I say the Black Ranger approaches? As weird as this is, I'm going to have to call them different people, even though they're one and the same, to make it clear who I'm talking about. Anyway, the Black Ranger takes Kaylee on a date, finding out what she's into. Space, as it turns out. She wants to be an astronaut, Uchu, Kita, and all that. He goes and gets the telescope from the lab, which Kaylee thinks is sweet. But she wants to know who is being so sweet to her. But of course, Black Ranger can't reveal his identity. Back in the lab, Chase is looking over a series of Black Ranger Kaylee selfies when Keeper walks up. I'm not saying, oh, hi Keeper, because he actually has a purpose this time. I was hoping that purpose was whacking Chase upside the head with his staff for blatant abuse of his powers, but Keeper has a gentler way. Keeper asks Chase in that classic parental I'm asking you but you really already know kind of way, that if Kaylee can never know who the Black Ranger is, do they really have a future? Chase admits that he knew that going on a date as the Black Ranger was a bit iffy. A bit iffy? A funny thing about this scene is that I think the writers wrote in a bit of a hand wave for the voice work. Keeper asks Chase if he intended to impress Kaylee by hiding behind a mask and speaking with an accent. I guess his accent is a little bit heavier in the voice work, and it's funny that the writers pointed that out and made it intentional. Black Ranger meets up with Kaylee again and breaks it off since she can never find out who he really is. He makes a pitch for Chase. It's really weird wording it that way, saying that guys get nervous around girls and want to impress them. He leaves and demorphs, frustrated, feeling like he's lost her twice. That was kind of weird to me, since I figured his plan from the beginning was to use his date with her as the Black Ranger to find out things about her, and then after breaking it off to do it again better as Chase. But apparently he just simply intended to date her as the Black Ranger? Just after Chase demorphs, Kaylee screams. She's been grabbed by Wrench and Singe. Chase runs to save her, and of course saves her as Chase, skating around Singe's blast and pulling her away. He tells her to run and the other Rangers show up and morph. But shouldn't Kaylee have wondered where the Black Ranger had gone? As Kendall calls Tyler, who is further away and out of contact, nice touch there by the way, the Rangers fight Singe and are really just holding their own. Singe pulls a nice trick actually, pretending to retreat, but only buying time for Heckle to make him grow. Chase laments that there are only 5 of them there, and that's Tyler's cue to show up, right? Oh, no wait, there's the Plesiozord. So instead that means... Oh, come on, no, come on, please, come on, no, don't do it to her again, don't, stop! Stop stealing Kendall's Zord, Tyler! I really do not get this. Like I said last week, the cockpit footage is original footage, so you can't blame the Sentai. I mean, at least let the two of them show up together, and Tyler really could have and should have shown up in Rexy. Oh, and by the by, only 5 of you chase? You only need 3 to form a Megazord as long as either Tyler, Ivan, or Kendall are there. Ivan was there. He can form the TerraCharge Megazord by himself, or you could go Tristego, Pararaptor, or any other mix of those. Anyway, since this is a Chase Focus episode, they attach the Parazord to the Plesiozord and we get a new formation. PlesioCharge Megazord, Para formation, and Chase gets his turn with the Dino SuperDrive Saber. They go straight for a finishing move, Galactic Blast, but it has no effect. Riley says they need more power, so he summons the Raptor Zord and they switch to Raptor formation. That's not more power, that's just different power, though I guess Riley could proudly think that his Raptor Zord is more powerful than the Parasaur. Anyway, his finisher, Bladed Raptor Slash, also doesn't work. Oh, hi Poisandra. She drops a quick tease at Fury and then leaves because she's a girl and doesn't deserve an action figure. Fury is jealous of Singe. You might even say he's resentful? He shows us that the Magna Beam can be reversed, shrinking Singe and ending the fight. Back on the ship, Singe has taken Fury's cell, since Heckle said that he could have any cell that he wanted. It's kind of funny that they have to sleep in cells even though they're free monsters, but that's living on a prison ship, I guess. Fury says that the Magna Beam malfunctioned, that it is an old, rusty ship, and the tension between these two should be fun to watch. At the cafe, Kaylee apologizes for dumping Chase, but Chase says that it was his fault for being too self-absorbed. After she gives him another shot, he promises to focus more on her. And he does. Too much. Forgetting that he was running the grill. Again. Episode 4. A Date with Danger. Pros, Chase learns a valuable lesson. Singe seems like another fantastic villain. And it's nice to see the Rangers face a serious challenge. Cons, Chase had to take a step back character-wise to learn that lesson. This is another episode centered around the blatant abuse of Ranger powers. And there were some confusing moments with the Zords. Another good episode, but with some serious drawbacks. A Date with Danger gets 3.5 super fossils out of 5. This actually felt like a mixture of the past 2 episodes. We had a male ranger blatantly abusing their powers for male reasons, just like in Forgive and Forget, and we had one ranger slapping another ranger upside the head, just like in Nightmare in Amber Beach. Chase did learn a valuable lesson about valuing and honoring your partner and not making relationships all about yourself, which for a kid's show is actually kind of an older kid and even teenager kind of a lesson. It amazes me how well this show writes villains, even when some of its heroes are a little bland. Singe literally just falls out of the sky and starts owning it. He has this great blasé kind of an attitude, and he's incredibly powerful. His rivalry with Fury should give him some additional purpose, and the two of them are going to be fun to watch. Speaking of Singe's power level, it was really nice to see the Rangers face an actual challenge for once. It doesn't feel like much challenged the Rangers last season besides Sledge once or twice. I mean, I'm rooting for the Rangers, of course, but it's always more compelling to see them actually struggle and be challenged as opposed to just vaporizing whatever stands in their way. While I am glad that Chase helped teach a valuable lesson, it feels like he kind of had to take a step back in character to learn it and then step forward again. It just doesn't seem to me that a Casanova like Chase would have to be taught that you have to ask the girl about what she likes and what she's into. It seems to me that he's more the type that would learn that on the down low and then surprise her with it. And yes, as I mentioned, we get another story centered around a Ranger blatantly abusing their powers. I mean, Riley using his Energem for a strength boost was one thing, wrong as it was. But Chase morphing to go on a date? I wanted Keeper to whack him upside the head with his staff and threaten to take away his Energem. Listen, I know Zordon's rules don't apply to every single season, and seeing as Dino Charge hasn't been connected to the other seasons, at least not yet, we don't even know if Zordon existed in this world. It's just the principle of the thing. It was just so weird seeing a Power Ranger just taking a walk with a girl. This kind of thing would work for a hero like, say, Superman, because he doesn't have to transform to become the hero. It's who he actually is. Clark Kent is more the disguise than Superman. This would be like Tony Stark trying to date a girl as Iron Man. And that's not even mentioning all the things that wouldn't be possible with the suit on. Sometimes I think this show is more focused on teaching kids how to be good people than on the Rangers being good heroes. I really got my hopes up when Keeper entered into the episode. Of course, I was joking about him whacking Chase upside the head, but I was really hoping that he would give him a dressing down for using his powers in that way. It was just inappropriate. And the Zord stuff is getting weird. I am officially fed up with Tyler piloting the Plesiozord when it has its own Ranger pilot, and I'm officially deducting for it. It's just another sign of this show shunning female representation. They made Kendall a Ranger. She's intelligent and she's strong. Let her fly her freaking Zord. You know, I don't even really care if she just showed up in Zord battles. At least let her be involved. And like I said before, since the cockpit footage is American footage, you can't even blame the Sentai. I know some people are probably going to say this is a situation similar to Cam from Ninja Storm. Someone needs to be the technical advisor. He only goes into battle when needed. But if the Rangers need the Plesiozord, they should need the Purple Ranger. The Zord should work best with its connected Energem. When you add all of that to an episode where Poisandra got all of one line and no action figure, it just looks really bad, especially in an episode where it was Shelby that got the lesson through to Chase. And then there was the thing where they said they got more powerful by switching Para and Raptor instead of having both Para and Raptor. I'm not sure if you can attach both to the Plesiozord, but if you can't, then they should have worded it differently. That's a really minor nitpick that I wouldn't have deducted for, but combined with the Plesio stuff, the Zords just kind of bugged me this episode. I'm gonna admit, I scored this episode a 4 at first, but when I realized that I was ranting more about the bad points than praising the good points, I realized that I had more issues with this episode than I first thought, and I took the score down. Dino SuperCharge is still a dang good season of Power Rangers so far, but that's making me hold it to a higher standard. This week's featured comment comes from Eric Chang, who points out that it's possible that Shelby got promoted to tour guide, hence why she was giving a tour at the end of last week's episode. I kind of thought of it more as an audition. I can see Shelby pestering Kendall for the chance to work in the museum and not just at the cafe, so maybe Kendall finally gave her a shot. Thank you so much for your comment. Make sure to leave your thoughts on this week's episode for your chance to be next week's featured comment. All right, that's going to do it for... Gotcha! No, I remember that we have to talk about what's coming up next week on Dino SuperCharge. And it's a good thing I did remember because we are in for a wild episode. Let's see what's up in episode 5 of Dino SuperCharge, Roar of the Red Ranger. Tyler tries to master the new T-Rex SuperCharge mode, but after Heckle plants a virus in Kendall's computer, the T-Rex Supercharger malfunctions and makes Tyler go wild. Luckily, the Aqua Ranger is able to step in before it's too late. That's going to do it for another Power Rangers Dino SuperCharge episode review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to check out the Orange Ranger on social media. Those accounts are in the end slate. Make sure to like the video by clicking that like button right down below. Subscribe to the channel to see my Power Rangers content every week. And leave your thoughts on this episode in the comments below for a chance to be next week's featured comment. And of course, as always, until next time, may the power protect you. Chase has apparently made a habit of showing off his talents and accomplishments to parts, but he is completely locked into self-absorbed mode. Fury introduces the two to Captain Demon Candle, whose name is actually Singe. Man, that is going to get confusing in writing with Snide. Fight! Anyway, Anyway, Singe's candle no, damn it, stupid farts! Anyway, Heroes gives Singe such a headache. So maybe he's distantly related. What makes it worse is that the someone else she's met is the Black Ranger. Chase has lost out to himself. Isn't that crazy? Crazy! What makes it worse is that this someone else that Kaylee has met is the Black Ranger. Chase has lost out to himself. Why can't I remember? That's something that he would know. But this gives him an idea. Shelby tells him not to do anything stupid, like, for example, just telling her who he thought! I can't. Oh, fart on me. Don't, please. I don't know, I think a lady killer like Chase would know that. Oh dear, crappingly snaggle-prodded farts! I mean, Tyler found the note right before Singe. See what happens when I ad-lib? I mean, Tyler found that note right before Singe showed up. Rusty tells Tyler about the day his dad disappeared. The other workers had gone home for the day, but he and his father, James, no, Flint! Flint! Okay, Sean, it's getting a little old now. Rusty said that there were miles of other tunnels in that cave, so it was very easy for him to have escaped. No. It was very easy for him to have escaped. Makes the assumption that he did escape. He could have easily escaped. Fortunately, this seemed to be just a little misdirection in writing, as Rusty Fortunately, this seemed to be just a little misdirection in the writing, as Rusty simply says that it's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of find and gives it back to him. As Tyler stands to leave, Rusty sees his Energem and asks to see it. Keeper asks if I guess his accent is a bit heavier in the voice work, and it's just kind of funny that the writer, as Kendall calls Tyler, who is further away and out of contact, nice touch there, the Rangers fight I keep wanting to call him Snide and Singe. It's really similar. And then there's Sledge. Snide and Singe and Sledge. I really do not get this. Like I said last week, the cockpit footage is original, so you can't blame the Sentai. But it has no effect. You know what? Farts. Anyway, since this is a Chase focus episode, there's something going on with my eyes. Riley says they need more power, so they call out the rap. Oh, hi, Poisandra. She drops a quick. Episode 4: A Date with Danger. Pros: Chase learns a valuable lesson. Oh boy. It doesn't really feel like much challenged them last season besides Sledge once or twice. While I am glad that Chase helped teach a valuable lesson, it kind of... And yes, as I mentioned, we get another story centered... But it's the principle of the thing. It was just so weird seeing a duck? A bird? That's who he actually is. I am officially fed up with Tyler piloting the Plesio Zord, and I'm starting to, yeah. All right, that's gonna do it for Gotcha. That was well timed, but it made me laugh, so make sure to like the video by farting on it. Why am I so obsessed with farts?